Molina,
Here.
Mr. Silverston,
Here.
Mr. Walter.
Here. Approval of meeting minutes for August 12th, 2014. Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call on approval of minutes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Condit,
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston,
Yes.
Mr. Walter,
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo.
Yes. Amendments to the agenda.
Yes, sir, I have two. The first is resolution number 69, 2014. A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into and execute the first amendment to the agreement of cooperation community development block grant program on behalf of the village of Reminderville and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Roll call on adding the first resolution.
Mr. Condit,
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston,
Yes.
Mr. Walter,
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
The second amendment is Resolution 70, 2014. A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental memorandum of understanding for job creation and retention and tax revenue sharing with Summit County.
Second.
Roll call on second resolution being added.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston,
Yes.
Mr. Walter,
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo,
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman,
Yes.
Mr. Condit.
Yes. Okay, before we go into committee reports, we have Lori Pesci here from Summit County. She would like to briefly say a few words about issue 12.
Good evening, Lori Pesci from the Executive's Office, Division of Public Safety. We just would appreciate your support for issue 12, which is the 0.25% sales tax, supporting the $20 million radio project for fire and police, and it's also supporting jail operations. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
All of council has a handout from Lori, so if you have any questions, please read it over.
Lori, you want to explain to them about the radios, why we got to switch and stuff?
Sure. Currently, I like to liken our radio system to your phones. Currently, we're at the old version of,
We're iPhone 4.
yeah, exactly, iPhone 4. So
We
you
want
have
the 6.
iPhone 4, and it only works to a certain extent. They're only supporting, Motorola is only supporting our services to a certain extent, and we're at the end of life for our radio service. We serve every community in Summit County. We have interoperability between police and fire throughout Summit County. And we now need to upgrade our system. This is, like I said, a between $20 and $30 million project that we would like to use the sales tax to pay for, so the communities don't have to absorb some of the cost. And you'll see in your handout, I believe it's on page, there's a chart. On page 6, 70, and it shows the cost that each community would have to incur if we aren't able to pass the sales tax and assist with this project. And again, and it's the same with dispatch. We're also looking to consolidate dispatch services for the county, and we would also use the money to do that as well.
So we'd have countywide dispatch.
We are encouraging countywide dispatch, yes, sir.
Any other questions for Lori?
I would suggest if we could leave one of these to the front desk, Stacy's, or,
There's already one.
oh, there's already one
They're
there.
sitting in the back, left it here 2 weeks ago.
Very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
We're going to committee reports. Mayor?
Actually, Lori was going to be my report. Most of you might realize now that if you've been down Nautilus, pretty much, I'd say, what, 98% finished? You still got one thing to do on Clipper Cove. And I think that'll be done by Thursday, and we'll not have any problems thereafter. If you notice too, on the corner Connecticut and Glenwood, you can see some of the new street signs we're gonna put down just along Glenwood. They're a fluted style with the black and white, and has a Reminderville logo on top of it. You'll see that going up and down Glenwood, so we get a chance to go take a look at it. Got one set up there perfectly. So I'm sure I'll have comments in between. Thank you, see ya.
Yeah, that's good.
Mr. Carpenter?
I really have nothing new to report, but I would just draw your attention to Resolution 56. That's the one that is promoting Officer Sixth Grade Sergeant. I did make a change in there to make it effective August 31st for payroll reasons. That's probably going to need to be passed by emergency.
Thank you.
Gene?
We are working with Twinsburg as the plans are here being completed for Liberty Sidewalk extension in that particular area. Knowledge trail restoration, there's about 98%. They've got for the second lane on Clipper and taking restoration right at that intersection. Grass is growing. Nautilus Bridge, I have spoken with ODOT, they're working hard to get the approval to do the modification. The modification is they install a fiber reinforcing on it. They will have to remove the approach slabs on both sides of the bridge during this construction. We are waiting till we get ODOT approval and after voting season that they would do this work. We'll make sure they maintain traffic over the bridge. They might have to plate it if they take it out, but do the work we have with construction. So we'll be looking at that restoration probably in after voting season. Yes, sir.
We haven't planted, we'll have to have police officers under the bridge.
Yes.
Direct traffic.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure. But weight limit signs have been put up on the roadway. Structure looks fine, but the limit signs are up to meet ODOT's concerns.
Will those come down after the,
Yes.
okay.
Section 319 grant was passed. I think we sent it the contract. We're waiting for final approval on that. California Street is in first scoring for how it works. For County Trail bid opening, we have 10 land holders on that project today. And as you remember, we bid it the first time we had 4, we only had 1 bid. We have 10. We really not pushes to try to pull it. So I think we'll get more competitive bid on that. So that's out there. Harrington phases 5, all the drainage work on 5 is complete. On phase 4, they'll be working to completing that. Harrington 7 went to Planning Commission. There is some additional land that is in the old, as the old zoning. They're going to reduce the next phase down to the cul-de-sac, which is part of the rezoned land. They're going to be working on that, and then they'll have to come and address the issue on the adjoining property, and it'll be up to you to decide whether you want to include that in the rezoned area or that'll be your choice. But they're reducing it down to the cul-de-sac, which was part of the original plan. And they'll be submitting plans on that, start working through that.
That was originally like 8 houses that was in that old zoning, if I saw the plan right.
Right, but they ended up purchasing, I guess for my end, we have done nothing on East Drive. We've already told them that if they want to build those houses on East Drive, they're going to approve East Drive. So I guess if we decide that we will allow the rezoning, we're going to make sure that the roadways improved between Maryland and Florida and brought up to the same code as the rest. So if you so choose to do it, just so you know, that's what we're going to require. They're going to have to put sanitary up there, they're going to have to extend the water up there. We started the storm, they can complete the storm, and they're gonna have to repave the road. So it could be beneficial to take that little section and rezone it. They bought the houses, and they're just giving you where we're at.
Will that last septic tank on east be attached to, or connected to
It'll be
the
available.
sanitary?
Yes, because they have to extend the sanitary up far enough to serve all their lives, so that one last house they don't have, septic will be available, or sanitary will be available, so
Very good,
It'll actually go past
good. Will eliminate those.
it.
So when you get into the rezoning, if you want, just for your consideration,
Before you go on, Gene, let's jump back to phase 4, on those drainage issues, on the
Yes.
stormwater. Can we put a time limit on that for John, so that we don't go through another 10 months waiting for a project to get done?
yes, you know, that's, on that issue, he's required to keep the wetland wet, okay? So with the development, he cut off the water going there. So when they came in, and I think we talked about this a couple times, we told him, we don't necessarily have a problem with you taking the water back there, but you've got to meet the code. You're either gonna have to time together or get a variance. We've been promoting this for a long time, and he's just never done it, so I think it's,
Well, no, I'm talking about the 2 houses that abut the lower shores on the ditch. Those 2
oh,
still
yeah, they should be taken into, they should be taken into the pond.
Okay, because
If you're
those are the 2 when we met at
Yes.
the meeting yesterday,
They have,
he was kind of ho-hum about it.
no, they have to go into the retention pond.
Okay,
So you have to tie those together, he has retention pond there, there's a reason he can't do it. On the few that back up to the, well, there's one that has gutter drain, well, that's, sorry, you gotta take it over to the pond. The other 4 who feed the wetland, I think it's beneficial.
yeah, those are no problem, and he requested additionals to be discharged into those wetlands too, which, again, that's not a problem, that's not affecting the drainage going throughout.
You're
Or
absolutely,
shores.
we're gonna take that.
Okay. But I would just, I want to make sure he understands, you know, we're going ahead with phase 7 now, he needs to finish up 4.
Well, put it this way, we're going ahead to a point.
Okay,
We'll review the plans, review everything, but he wants to get started before it better be taken care of.
I think he must have told the one guy before, because he was here today,
Yeah.
because he wants to build a patio, and now he's upset because he can't build his patio. One of the guys said he can't.
So, again, we'll work on that. We'll be working on that. Now, just a couple issues. We are looking at change orders that have been requested on this trail. We're about 10 to 12% over. Most of that, the majority of that, a good portion of 65,000 was water work, which will go for reimbursement. Okay? That brings it down to only about 6 or 7% now. Decision was made to do all the sidewalks, which has changed, you know, corrected a lot of problems on the entire thing. And then the original bid was based on, and money was based on us doing a white topping, which had minimal police. Because we had to totally remove the roadway and everything, we had to do additional police for maintenance, to maintain it for the park runners down there. Those were some of the big actors. Really, on the entire job, totally replaced, we're only about 2 or 3% over the change we had. But these, you know, those are significant. You know, we got 65,000 extra water, well, I can go get it, but it's gonna take, I have to, you know, put it together, submit it to the water, it'll take a while before we get that money back. So that'll, I'm just letting you know, and I have a formal change order, for there, when all the quantities are far enough on, I can submit the change order, we start working through it. And again, there's, we'll be negotiating on some items that we don't agree with right now. So we're gonna go through those next weekend and beat it up and get that change order to their minimum. Come to agreement, then I can finalize the change order, so the next meeting you'll have that, we can start working through it.
okay, there is an issue that has come up, at least at our end of that project, at Skippers. They still have porta potties sitting in the
Yeah,
road,
that'll be.
equipment, that pine tree, because of where they positioned all that equipment, pine tree needs to come out now. If you go down there and take a look at it, and that's, you know, that's a 30-foot pine that's been destroyed because garbage trucks had to get through, their trucks had to get through. I can't blame the garbage company because they had to get down that street. But, you know, that trailer has sat there, I think no one even goes in it. The porta potty looks terrible sitting in the road.
I'm trying to get everything out of there this week, Friday week, finish up, and we'll get that taken. And that's my report.
Thank you, Chief. We have rec center on here. Did you want to do?
Yeah, we had a meeting, I brought, as I said, we were gonna bring in an architect, I brought in a highly qualified architect, who's done multiple municipal and school sites and everything. We had a meeting with Mayor Walt Hawkins sat in, and Walt's been through building schools and everything. He actually has the best, he can give you what we agreed upon.
Well, we just looked at the footprint, and I think we kept the footprint exactly as you're familiar with. A couple of minor changes are being proposed, and one of them is to move the latchkey to the other side of the building. Also, the architect, Mr. Obrinda, wanted to take a look at the flow of the building and see if from the locker rooms we had easier access and egress. And he'll come back with those plans. The key now is to get something worked out with Pontiac. Our hope is they will finish and complete the work that has to be done. If not, then the consultant would be able to do it. But Pontiac should be able to do it cheaper. And so that is the hope that we have. What we have is a commitment, I think, for the first meeting in October. The architect consultant that works with Croc Esser and Mr. Esser at that point will be prepared to give us a timeline when the project, how it's going to move along over the next 6 or 7 months, so that we have a pretty good idea of what the completion date might be and the steps to get to that completion date. And that will be the first meeting in October. They need that time to get everything into order. So I thought it was a very positive meeting, and I felt at the end of the meeting that the progress is being made and that we have something to look forward to in the next month as far as information on where we go from here.
So are we gonna wait until that first meeting in October? Or do we need to wait until the first meeting of October to see if Pontia's gonna finish the project with us, or what's happening?
No, I think that the changes that are being proposed that they're going to see will be in the next week.
Okay.
I think we're going to know in the next week.
Gotcha.
Once we have that, then Pontiac is going to need some time to complete the work. And in the meantime, Croc and Esser will be working on that time schedule and coming up with a proposal as to when we're going to do various projects towards the completion.
You know, we also have to break it down, cost, you have a cost figure, build that, and that's all part of it. We have a plan looking at it, see if there's some modifications that would lessen the cost of what's going. So we'll be working hard to present you with a very good look at the snapshot of what we think we can do on timing, cost, frame, process, and will the plans be updated by Pontiac? I would say absolutely not. We will say, these are the changes, this is where we need to go, this is our time frame. We think the plan's updated, this is the cost, we're very comfortable that we come in, bring everything in. So we are aggressively doing this and we working with this so that everybody's comfortable with the changes that we propose and everything, all falls within your budget.
So what are we doing with this Pontiac quote that we have in hand? Table. It's just tabled. Okay.
That's table, and I think we're also going to have to table the demolition portion.
Right, until we get the architect's drawings.
Mr. Pontiac has basically said, I'd like to take that quote, so we just want to reject that price because he doesn't know the changes.
Okay.
He was going to take the plans and just finish them.
Right.
We might not go there, we might do some minor changes in the
Which
floor
we knew we
area.
were gonna do.
So we basically want to reject that bid, and then what we end up, the building you end up with, that we can build with the cost you have, we'll request a proposal for him to change the plan, and then we'll give you that, that will be revised.
I think we're pretty confident that Pontiac is going to take those revisions and do them. The only reason I brought up the other architect, it's a backup plan. For some reason, he balks, so we're not stuck. But the hope is Pontiac would have, they have all the CADs and everything else, so it's gonna be quicker and cheaper if they complete it.
You understand, all this work to get you to the next step is all under my contract you pass. There's no additional cost, there's no other dollars that are going to be coming out. You know, my architect's going to work through the whole process, the plan to come to that point, so that at the end of this point, you're gonna have a plan that may be tweaked so that everybody loves it. That's the plan we want. There's cost, you know, we're gonna have a new evaluation on what the cost would be, so that you can build it for the dollars you have. And at that point, then we'll go to the next step, but, and then we'll have a time frame for putting the whole thing together, so.
So do you think we might have a final plan for this, for the group to look at, potentially approve, and then, like I said, get costs and
I
even know if it's feasible?
I think we'll be working hand in hand over the next couple of weeks, you know, we come in here and talk to the Hoffman, the mayor and everything, and I would think, it'll take maybe a little couple iterations, but hopefully by the end of the month.
You're gonna have a very good idea when we come to that first meeting in October, when you do your
Yeah.
presentation.
I mean, that'll be the final, but if there's something in between that we.
Is it gonna be your responsibility to put together the various bid packages, or who's gonna, let's get a little ahead of ourselves, but,
We're a little ahead of ourselves. We have to decide that, you know. There are, and the same thing as we talked through this, there are 2 or 3 delivery methods for the next step. CM at risk, design, build, there's 2 or 3 delivery methods, and that's also, I think, the next. That'll all be laid out in October. You know, we'll just make a recommendation we think is the best way to move forward to the next, to get the packages together. And, obviously, I just entered it the last month, and I'm trying to pull everybody together as quickly as possible.
Part of the issue I think we're going to go through too is you've got the building stage, you can divide it up from the fitness center, but you're gonna have an entirely separate fuel package. And the process of that, I'm not sure we're gonna have pricing on that going into the beginning of October. That's gonna be coming later because I doubt we're going to even have that
Well, no,
ready to go out for a while.
the firm that I'm utilizing on this actually has a group that specializes in pools, so I think we'll have
We will have something that include.
I think we'll have an idea on what we can possibly do there and what the cost you have. Again, that everything's cost driven, and we'll come back and with what we feel you want in that section, what we can do, it will be realistic and worthwhile, so.
Thanks, Gene. Quick note, I've spoken with Walt, and Walt will take over as the council liaison on the center for us. So there'll be one voice coming back and forth rather than everybody trying to figure out what's going on. And Walt is graciously accepted.
I look forward to it, and I will, anytime we have a meeting, I will make sure that an email goes out, and it will be on Outlook. And I will give you just like the last meeting, I will give you a meeting summary whenever we do meet.
Thanks, Walt.
Did I hear you right that the design build option might be back on the table?
I'm not just saying, there are a number of options.
he was told not. The architect was told not.
There's a number of options, that's one. Realistically, in talking, no, I don't like that method, but in turn, it is one of the methods out there, but I think we're gonna see a type of setup that we need
Thank you, Gene.
more cost effective.
Deborah?
I have 2 items.
happy to announce that the 2012-2013 audits are 99.9% finished. I received the paperwork from Charles Harris yesterday, and the mayor and I will take some time to review it. Council will have an opportunity to preview it, ask some questions, have some questions answered, and then it'll be filed with the state. And Paul, I have a question for you. In the order of the agenda, I don't know if this makes a difference, but the resolutions that pertain to the funds would actually be passed after an ordinance that has to do with those funds. Does that make a difference?
No,
Okay.
they'll both be effective at the same time.
Okay. If those could be passed by emergency, I would appreciate that.
Which are those?
It's ordinance 19 and resolutions 62 and 63. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Chief Buck?
Yes, sir. I have several items, more than usual, but I won't be as long as Gene was. First, we have new technology that we have purchased through the police department that we get numerous complaints of speeders on such roads, this road, that road. They're going 50 miles an hour. It happens between 6 in the morning and 8 in the morning. Difficult to assign an officer there for 2 hours while they're still handling other calls, so on and so forth. So I purchased a unit that goes on telephone poles or trees or what have you. It's a computerized unit that reads 24 hours a day, reads the number of vehicles that travel on the road, their speed. It produces a computerized printout to my desk every day, and I'm able to generate that and give it to the residents in the neighborhood that have been complaining. We're also able to then take and use that as a traffic study, and if we do have a problem there, it notifies me via email, and we're able to get cars out at that time that we're having problems. Now, we'll move that throughout the village as we get complaints from our residents, and the purpose behind it is 95% or more of the people that call that think the cars are going 50, they're really only going 27. We're able to provide that documentation to them for the time frames they're able to see it, and we don't have to tie up a uniform officer for 14 days at a time for 2 hours at a clip in a neighborhood. Also, the other 5%, if we see that we're having a problem there, we're able to address that and put the cars there and take care of it during those target time periods, which cuts down a 2-hour window to maybe a half-an-hour window.
When you get a complaint, currently, not with the new piece of equipment, and you send an officer there to do his traffic study based on a complaint, is he visible in a police car where everybody can see him and they know not to speed because he's there? Is that why they're going 27 and not 50?
We actually use the cloaking device when he's there.
Well, I don't know if you're in a, I mean, if you're
No, yes, it's virtually impossible to run radar in an area without.
You're in a marked car, and that's what I'm getting at. That's why they're going 27 and not 50 when you're there.
Well, we'll see.
Right, and that's why
We'll see.
This is great.
Now, we also have the ability, we have the laser guns, the radar guns. In cases in the past, I've actually put people out on bicycles. Okay, so and we have a pickup car down the road if it's a big problem. So we'll see how that works out. I'm glad to have this new technology. Today's the first day it was put out, and we have 3 or 4 people waiting. I'll let you know, I'll report back to you and let you know how it works out for us. Secondly, I talked with the mayor this morning about this. I've talked with you. The vehicle that I currently drive is 4 years old, 250,000 miles on it. It's due to be replaced. I have found another vehicle. It's a used vehicle as well. It will not cost the taxpayers any money. It will come out of the drug forfeited funds. Just want to let you know that we're going to proceed and purchase that unless anybody has a problem with it. And that'll be picked up tomorrow. Resolution 67 is a resolution to hire Christopher Bruno. I would request that council would consider to pass that by emergency tonight. We have exhausted the entire civil service list that was provided to us by the Civil Service Commission. He is the only viable candidate off of that list. We are shorthanded, and the holidays are right around the corner. By the time he's trained, I need him on the road yesterday. he's also brought his family tonight, so I'd like to do that by emergency. Last but not least, Mary, do you want me to talk to them about the Tradesman's Cove, or you want to? Last week.
When you do this,
Mhm.
I mean, you gotta talk about it.
Last week we had a hostage situation in the
It wasn't
village.
Wentwood, it was in Commodore Code.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but okay.
Well, it's all over
It was on
Facebook, so just do it.
Okay, so anyhow, we had a hostage situation. I had to utilize the veg hostage negotiation team. We called them out before they arrived on scene. We were able to get, our officers were able to get the hostages out, which then left us with a barricaded suspect in the residence. The negotiator got on scene, and through some different logistics, we were elected to, instead of negotiate, make entry. We made entry, secured the young fellow that was having problems, and he was transported by the fire department to the proper medical clinic to be treated. But the main purpose of that is we utilized the veg call-out team, the tactical vehicle. It was here within, I think, 17 minutes, and that's our dues going to that, where we can utilize, I think there's 6 negotiators that came with that vehicle. So they were here pretty quick.
Good job.
Oh, you're kidding me? I'm still on all those trail thing if I'm talking.
That's it, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Chief Plunkett?
Just to follow up to report last month, we meeting with the Civil Service Commission, and we determined that we're going to put on an entrance test for the fire department in the spring of 2015, probably late spring, late May, just prior to when the existing list will expire.
How many candidates do you have left on the list?
About 11. We're
How
gonna-
many do you need to get on board prior to that
2.
testing? Okay.
We're going to interview here some in the next week and see where they go from there, see how they do.
You feel comfortable with that list?
Yes.
Could you make those facial expressions facing the camera?
I heard somebody ask a
We'll see how they do.
Thank you. Architectural Board of Review.
At our last meeting, the ABR okayed 3 decks, 1 fence, and 2 additions in the shores.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning. Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes, we met last evening and we approved the variance for a deck on Ivy Road in Harrington Development. Where else? So,
Thank you. Finance.
Finance met today at 5:30. Prior to this meeting, we recommended payments in the amount of $410,621.71. We continued our discussions on the 2015 budget. Went through all the funds, went through the revenues, and we will continue those discussions with the Finance Committee on our next meeting, which is the 23rd. And that meeting will start at 6. And that is it at this point.
Cable.
I have no report, we had no meeting this past month.
Communications.
Communications met last night. We discussed our upgrades to the website, which are continue to be worked on. Hopefully have something to show you guys here soon. We also discussed, that came up in Finance Committee tonight, potentially putting in Communications Committee, but potentially looking at on the roundabout, and I know it's been talked about for a while, but kind of a mason stone sign that kind of goes around the outskirts of the roundabout that says either Welcome to Reminderville or Village of Reminderville or Reminderville or something like that.
Great place to call home.
Great place to go. Right. So we'll have, if you haven't seen the mock-ups, we'll show you the mock-ups, and it's something we can discuss eventually doing down the road.
Just out of curiosity, how's it communicate? It's a communicator.
Communications
our village.
is, communications is anything that's visible to the outside world. Trying to promote Reminderville to the outside world, do lunch. So it's communication/marketing.
Communicate.
If you wanna rename the committee as such, that's pretty much what it is.
Hey Mark, for the website, is it okay if I attend the meeting just so we have someone from Village Hall? Because I don't know if
Communications
it's
committee or the meeting separate about the website?
just about the website, because I don't know if this is going to be a resident-run website. Because the one that's right now, a lot of people think we run it and we don't.
Right.
So if it's going to look like it's coming from us, I'd like to say.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Long-term community development, the report, Parks and Rec.
Everything's all set to go for the Halloween celebration on the 25th of October, thanks to the work of Chief Bucksman. And our next meeting will be next Wednesday, the 17th.
Records,
No report.
seniors.
Seniors picnic will be next Monday at the park at 1 o'clock. Their next breakfast will be Wednesday, the 24th at yours truly, and I forget where it's located.
Hudson.
Hudson, in Hudson.
In Hudson. And coming up in October, on the 20th, Monday the 20th, is the annual spaghetti dinner at the firehouse. It's at 6 o'clock. Please call, if you're going to attend, please call Stacy and reserve your spot so that the fire department knows how much to prepare for.
Is that September 20th, Mark?
That is October 20th, the spaghetti dinner.
They would like to know by the 14th, I believe he opens at 6 to the 14th or something on calls. So they don't want to screw the vibe.
That's it, Mark?
That's it, sir.
Thank you. And Jed.
Jed met, we had our quarterly meeting last Tuesday here at the Village Hall. We discussed preliminary budget numbers for 2015. The JED board budget portion of the total budget is on legislation for tonight. It does not need to be passed by emergency, so we can discuss that when that comes up if need be. The projects portion of the budget, we won't know until December, so that'll be towards the end of the year. And our next meeting will be the first Tuesday of December, 7 o'clock at Twinsburg Township. That's it.
Thanks, Tom. We're going to legislation, tabled legislation resolution 67-2013. During our regular meeting tonight, I'd like to make a motion to bring that off table so we can proceed with it. We're going to ordinance 19-2014, emergency ordinance to make appropriation adjustments for the 2014 village budget, first reading. Which Deborah has asked to pass by emergency. Resolution 55-2014. A resolution to accept the proposal of Commercial Property Maintenance LLC to complete determination of the existing electrical system, to relocate and install a new meter at the corner of Hook's Restaurant, and to disassemble the sprinkler system on village property located at DDM Center, 3100 Glenwood Boulevard, Reminderville, Ohio, for an amount not to exceed $49,200, third reading.
Speak that we want to table.
Table.
Resolution 56-2014, a resolution to promote James Siegfried to the position of sergeant in the Reminderville Police Department, effective August 31st, 2014, second reading, and we'll be doing that by emergency. Resolution 58-2014, a resolution authorizing a $1,600 donation to the Aurora Shores Homeowners Association for the 4th of July celebration, emergency, second reading. Resolution 60-2014, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into and execute an agreement for the purchase of real property located at 10591 Georgia Street, Reminderville, Ohio, for a sum not to exceed $50,000, second reading. Resolution 61-2014, a resolution expressing support for the County of Summit's proposed 0.25% additional sales and use tax, and urging the citizens of Reminderville to vote yes on the issue at the November 4th, 2014 general election and declaring an emergency. First reading. Resolution 62, 2014, a resolution to establish the Nautilus Trail Project Fund number 4906, first reading, and we'll be passing that by emergency. Resolution 63, 2014, a resolution to establish the California Street Project Fund number 4907, first reading, that will also be going by emergency. Resolution 64, 2014, a resolution to repeal Resolution 75A, 2013, which provides health insurance coverage for elected village officials, first reading. Resolution 65, 2014, a resolution to approve the recommendation of the Twinsburg Township Village of Reminderville JED Board in regard to the 2015 JED budget, first reading. Resolution 66, 2014, a resolution to approve the recommendation of the Twinsburg Township Village of Reminderville JED Board to modify the 2014 JED budget, first reading. Resolution.
Do you need that by emergency or 2014?
What are they modifying it
The
for?
change.
What's the purpose?
What's that?
What's the additional payment for?
Additional, or is it?
It's an additional 10 grand. There was a whole bunch of items on that resolution. The difference is an increase of 10,000, but it affects like 6 items.
Yeah, they removed some monies from
From one.
like legal or whatever, and then they added, I think it was $11,300, something, it was just over $10,000. They made a modification because they were about 4
That could
items.
wait till the next
That
meeting.
could wait as well. Okay.
Are we gonna do it by emergency?
No, that's what I was
At
just
the next
asking.
Yeah,
meeting,
it
at
could-
some
I'm
point.
just saying that
Yeah.
11,000 was for something that was back in June, and I think they were anxious to get it passed.
Well, it's not an actual payment. It was one of the, I think the overall thing was the joint agreement, is what it affects, so.
Okay.
Resolution 67, 2014, a resolution to hire Christopher Bruno as a part-time police officer with the Village of Reminderville, first reading, and that will be done by emergency. Resolution 68, 2014, a resolution to accept the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the amended drainage plan for Phase 4 of the Harrington Place subdivision, first reading. Resolution 69, 2014, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into and execute the First Amendment to the agreement of the Cooperation Community Development Block Grant Program on behalf of the Village of Reminderville and declaring an emergency. Resolution 70, 2014, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental memorandum of understanding for job creation and retention and tax revenue sharing with Summit County, and that will be going by emergency. Old business. New business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call on adjournment.
Mr. Silverston?
Yes.
Mr. Walter?
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit? Mr. Lehman?
Yes.
Okay, you got about 10 minutes.